I wasn't going to make this video. This video was going to be like an airship or something. I made a storage system, I made a quick follow-up post-brass version, and that was going to be it. I was going to let some other guy come in and keep iterating until some magnum opus level storage was reached for this type of system. But you insisted that I make another storage system, that I keep iterating it. So you know what? I did. I made one more iteration. After absolute, maddening chaos, nonsensical anomalies, and going absolutely mad, I made another bloody storage system. And let me tell you, the process was an absolute disaster. So let me begin telling you how this all went. But first, if you'd like to help me pay for the psychiatric help I'm going to need after making this video, then check out my merch. My video drivers are broken. Nope, something is still broken. Something has gone horribly wrong. Listen to this. My audio. What happened to my audio? This is all of my footage. What in good heavens is going on? They're just here. I didn't place. What? Sir? Hello? Hello? Okay, I'm losing it here. I'm about to lose my marbles. Look at this. I hit rotate. It does a full rotation. It's set to do a full rotation. The sequenced gear shift is set to a full rotation. And look what I get. I get one full rotation. But watch this. Watch what happens. I move the speed to 16 RPM, 16 rotations per minute. I'm broken. Broken. Why? Why is it like this? What is your purpose? Help me understand what is happening. I glue the linear chassis to the vault. It's glued to the vault. There's glue. There's glue to the vault. And it should attach, right? I hit the lever. I go over here. Why? Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard? I don't understand. It should just go. It should just work. Look, let me get, hold on, wait. Wait, look at this. Okay, we got one linear. Watch this. I'm gonna put a sticker on this side, and I attach that. Watch what's gonna happen. It's gonna attach. Watch this. Look, it's attached. So why doesn't the linear chassis work? Well, it is time to explain the vault bridge that I've chosen for the SVS system. You can see I have an array of them here, each of them marked red, with the opposing sides marked light blue. I made a small replica over here, and I shall explain to you the basic principles of how it works. Brilliant, and that should do most of the work.
Are you sure about that?
Unfortunately, upon further considerations, if you've noticed a bit of an issue here, have you noticed any problems with this mechanism? Well, I didn't at the time, but I just recreated slot stick with that second belt there. That was a bit of a yikes. Now that is a solution. Well, thank you kindly, Lia. Looks like it's time for me to get to work. Well, here it is. It's time to explain it. Welcome to the explanation. Let us begin with a very important part of the build, and that is the rapid redstone pulse system. Now, what is this and what are we using it for? So, this little module is quite compact, really. This little module simply sends out an incredibly fast redstone pulse. So, quite simply, this redstone link, we would have this on the front of our contraption, our gizmo, whatever you will have, and we'll put a little lever on it so that we can just turn it on and it will receive the signal here. This sends the signal into this block, which sends it into the input side of the powered latch, which powers, if you look, it powers the little torch powers the block powers the wire, and the wire powers this block, and this block activates that little detector piece on the side of the latch, and that turns it back off. So it's in a constant state of receiving an on signal from here, and an off signal from here, and it just goes on, off, on, off. And we can utilize this little corner piece to send out on the channel, on the red channel, I have it color coded, so blue for input, red for output. On the output, it will be sending out our redstone signal. So let's get a look at how fast this is. There you go, that's some speed. That is some speed right there. But let's turn that off for now. Now let's come over here and see the practical application of what we're using this for. So for some context, brass funnels, and funnels in general, have a limited quantity of items they can extract per second. So let's get an idea of that. This would be the default extraction speed per second. But now, and come over to the back here, we have our rapid signal receiver right there. So we turn this on, and look at that speed difference. We are now going from about an item per second to goodness knows how many items per second. I want to say like a good 10 items, maybe 5 to 10 items per second, I want to say. But here's the deal. We can get faster than this. So if we break this funnel, and we bring the crate here, and we bring the signal down to this funnel, suddenly, the items are moving even faster. Now, why is this? Why are they moving faster? Well, that's because the items are getting cleared off of the deployment block, so the funnel has to deploy the items onto a block. So it's deploying it here, and they're getting picked up into this faster than they would if there was one block further. So if it's any further than this, it's going to be the same speed no matter how far you go. But when you get to this, it's faster, but it can get faster than this. Let me show you. We can bring this funnel forward, and we have gotten, this is incredibly fast now. I have no idea how fast it's going now. I just know it's going fast, and it's going fast enough where I don't need to know how fast it's going, because it's going. That's all I need to know. And there you have it. There's your speed. Now you could bring it like this, and look at that, goal reached. Very questionable achievement. But I don't, as far as I'm aware, this doesn't increase the speed any further. This is as fast as it will get, to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, this is how fast it can get. And shout out, again, to Lia and Mysda for showing me this method, because she was the one that helped out for quite a bit of the small technical details and applications of this small system. Now, that leaves the next system to be covered, and that is this little tricky thing right here. Now, what is this, and what does it do? Well, I'll explain. So, there's an issue with schematics. These schematics, these right here. You scan something, you put something in a schematic, and you can put it in a schematic cannon, you can build it later. You know the drill. But there's an issue where if I have a chest, and if I put all this stuff in this chest, here's the thing. If I make a schematic out of this, none of those items will carry through. Nothing. Which is very problematic if my contraption, my design, involves a cart assembler. Right? If I'm assembling a cart for a mechanical piece of my contraption, guess what? I can't do that in a schematic. It's not going to work. But there's a workaround. See, toolboxes do hold their items, right? So dispensers don't hold items, chests don't hold items, but toolboxes hold items and schematics. So if I were to scan this toolbox into a schematic, it would maintain the minecart. Now this is paramount because this allows me to put this little module, I put this module on my contraption, scan it in, and guess what happens? Now I have a minecart. Now, how does this work exactly? Well, let's put this here. Forgot to put that lever. Let's give a brief illustration and example of how this works and what it does. Quite simply, this funnel will extract the items from the toolbox. It will go into this funnel, into the dispenser, and then when we want to deploy the minecart for our contraption, we just hit the signal and bam, it deploys the minecart. So, how do we keep this activated? Well, this would be activated with an external signal, right? So this right here, this smooth stone signal, this is on smooth stone dispenser. Now, this is, it's telling this funnel, you remember we covered it earlier, that when a funnel's receiving redstone power, it's receiving a signal, it will not let items through. That means that if we don't include this in our schematic, then soon as we build this, watch what happens. Watch what happens when I break this block. Boom. It went directly into the dispenser. Now, this lever, this one right here, this tells the dispenser to deploy the minecart. Now, why do I have this glass here? Well, I like to fully encase my cart assemblers, especially if it's cut off like that. I like to fully encase it because I have a bad history of minecarts just going flying off in the distance for the most anomalous of reasons. But regardless, we hit that, and look at that, there's the minecart in our cart assembler, ready to go. So now let's do a quick cut to the inputs on the back of the SVS crate. Welcome to the quick base I built. It's not much, but I think it looks nice enough. Now, I did this in response to a question that Lily had asked me. So, Lily, if you're watching this, this is directly to answer your question. So, what Lily had asked was, how does the whole system work in a base, right? Because it's really kind of meant, if you're making a big base, I would put it in a wall. But personally, I kind of like to do it like this, where I get to see all the inner working mechanisms and doodads do their thing while I work around my base. And I think that's an interesting way to do it. I think it looks cool and interesting. But if you want, you can just put it in a wall and do what you want. But we're here to cover how you get items directly in. So the last system, the previous storage system, didn't have a good way to get items into the storage. But this time, come take a look at this. So we have just a very, and I know this is a horrible carrot farm. I understand that this is a God forbidden carrot farm, but it's fine. It does the job. And let's get some bone meal so we can see it in action. And I'll speed it up a little bit for you. Don't worry, I'll speed it up a little bit. And there it goes. So now we can see it in action. This is essentially, now this isn't the most efficient way to get the items over, but this is kind of how I would let's get over here, get the items into the vault, and that's using these little inputs on the back of it. So if you've noticed, due to the way the vaults rotate, they have to have a PSI on both sides of the vault, right? But this is useful because on this back end, guess what we can do? We can connect things to these PSIs on the back. So we can connect things to these PSIs. You could connect things to these PSIs if you wanted. Although I personally would not recommend putting them in the top. I would recommend putting them in the bottom. But that's just me. But look, now you have a very clean and effective way to this whole bottom row of portable storage interfaces can be interfaced with and used for whatever you want. So there you go. There's the new little addition. Hope you like it. So while we're here, let's do a quick rundown of some of the basic redstone logic in this build. So right here, this little, I guess, circuit, if you will, this essentially tells the vaults to disassemble, rotate, so it swaps the vaults, because this is swapping the vaults via full rotation. So it tells them to do a full rotation, disassemble, full rotation, and then in the process of doing that, it assembles these front toolboxes to tell the toolboxes, hey, if there's anything in the storage that we have a slot for in the toolboxes, go ahead and put that in the toolboxes, because that's where we get our items from. We get them from the toolboxes. So that's what that does. Over here, this logic, obviously, these are the little doodads I mentioned earlier that deploys the minecarts on construction. So these you don't really have to worry about. They're just going to do what they do. No need to worry about that. On the back here, these are just the main switches. So the power switch disconnects the entire rotation. It hits up to this clutch, and let's grab a motor just so we can see. So when you hit the main power, it tells the clutch, no power, no rotating. But when we turn it on, things start rotating. So that's just what that does. Now, the rapid pulse, obviously, we covered the rapid pulse. It's right over here, so we can see that, and if we turn it on, you can see it, look at it go. And then this last one, assemble vaults, we can just turn that off. It disassembles the vaults in the back in case you want to run maintenance or you want to replace the vaults with maybe like iron chests or diamond chests or something modded that you got from something besides Create. So it just gives you that option. But when you're running the machine, if you want it to be operational, make sure all three of these are on. 1, 2, 3. You need all three of them on for it to be fully operational. Time to explain the modules. Well, here it is. This is the module system. It's really quite simple, and it all comes down to these two linear chassis. So we have one here, and that goes into this vault. We have one here, that goes into this vault. And this allows, and also we have the shaft that carries the rotation forward, and this allows for all the mechanisms relating to the bottom and the top vault, as well as the rotation, to be carried almost infinitely. Like as long as this chunk is getting loaded, if this chunk is getting loaded and all the connecting chunks are getting loaded for each module, this can be extended a very long ways. You'll eventually run out of rotational power, but it goes a very long ways. So let's start with the base example module, and before we install our module, let's be sure that we turn off our main power. If rapid pulse is on, turn it off, and if the vaults are assembled, disassemble the vaults as well. And then you would preferably use, if you're in survival, you would be using a schematic cannon, I would hope, and you're not just building this by hand. If you're building this by hand, have fun, my friend, have fun, but please use a schematic cannon. And we just print this down, and before we print it, right, be sure that it lines up. So right here, linear chassis, and it needs to line up to this linear chassis on this vault right here. So one, and you just connect directly over, and we can just look at the vaults. Essentially, the vaults need to line up more or less perfectly. Technically, the vaults on this one, if you want to make your own module, you could put it wherever you want it. You just have to make sure that these linear chassis carry over in the exact same spot for each module. So like on this side, we can see linear chassis, same spot rotational force, same spot. So let's put this down. We're gonna print it, and look at that, beautiful, lines up. And in fact, if we turn the main power back on, come over here, let's look at this. We have everything moving just as it's supposed to move. So let's turn the main power off again, and we can keep going. We can put another one down. Give me just a moment. Look at that. Put another one down, and it lines up perfectly. So again, we got the shaft going into the rotational bits and bobs, carrying over to this. It's turning the belts. And we have the linear chassis carrying over the mechanism and rotation aspects all the way over. And in fact, these hold on, wait, the leaves are in the way. Hold on. Okay, it's carrying all the way over. So let's put that one down as well. And look at that, we got 3. We've tripled our both vault capacity, and we've tripled our sorting capacity with these front toolboxes. Now you can make a module that's just the vaults, and you can make a module that's just the toolboxes, but this is just the first base module. And if there's enough people that want more modules, I'll make some more modules as time goes by. So let's turn on the main power, let's turn on the rapid pulse, and let's assemble the bolts. And look at that, beautiful. You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. And let's make sure we got 80 RPM on that. And let's do just one restock. Look at that. Oh, it's so fast. Beautiful. You love to see it. And let's do a quick demonstration just for the heck of it. I've got these carrots. I'm gonna put one right there. So it's in the last one. It's in the last one in the toolbox all the way over here. It's got to get past all of this stuff, and watch what happens. We're gonna put it in the input. Goes right in, and then we're gonna restock and see those carrots go all the way directly to that toolbox. Now, let's see. Beautiful. Oh, you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Well, some notes before we end the video. Number 1, join the new Discord. I've made a Discord where I'm going to be posting the schematics, the downloads, and various other manuals and doodads to go with my builds, my mechanisms, and my redstone. So be sure to join. I'll even be including some other cool stuff in there. You'll find out if you join. In addition, there will be a download to this build in the comments in the description. But if you want to get the add-on modules, please join the Discord. And in the future, if I do update this build, if there's any minor updates I make to it, it may not justify a whole new video, but I will be making an update in the Discord for it. So be sure to join the Discord for that. In the future, if this video gets at least 400 likes, I'll make more modules to go with this Timebreaker SVS system. Feel free to request whatever modules you would want to see if this video does hit 400 likes. And the next video after this is not going to be storage, because my goodness, this was a disaster of a process. It shouldn't have been this difficult. Next video, we're gonna make probably a weapon system. That's kind of my style. That's more up my alley. So be sure to subscribe, keep an eye out, and cue the outro. Well, that is the end of the video. If you've been watching until this point, you have my thank you for sticking around until now. I hope you like this new Timebreaker SVS storage system. It took a bit more work than I had anticipated, with quite a few complications in the process, but thanks to everyone's help, it got done, and what can I say? It is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful storage system, all in all. I would like to give a special thank you to Lia and Mysda, first and foremost, for her help with the system and showing me some technical bits and bobs, as well as showing me a lot of, and even making the core item sorting system that's used with the belts. So thank you to Lia and Mysda for helping me with that, and thank you as well to Mysda, who had helped with the previous storage system, and who helped a little bit with this storage system with some of her advice as well. So big thank you to both of them, and thank you to all of you for watching. I hope to see you soon in a new video. Goodbye, and be careful out there.